Story number 1, The Graveyard Shift.
The steady drumming of the rain against the windows created an unsettling melody that mirrored the raging storm outside. As my heart raced, I wiped the filthy counter and took in the dimly illuminated fast food restaurant. Unsettling shadows danced across the scratched linoleum as the fluorescent lights flickered. I had to do the overnight shift at Burger Bites to pay the bills, so I did. This time of night, when everyone else is fast asleep, the place has always made me feel uneasy. The worn walls and antiquated furnishings of the restaurant created an eerie, almost alien atmosphere, like entering a time warp. The bell above the door chimed at midnight, and a solitary figure entered. The rain had left a slippery film on the stranger's trench coat, and the hood kept their face hidden from view. In order to muster the nerve to welcome them, I cleared my throat. "Burger Bites is glad to have you. To what end may I serve you?" Their words were barely a whisper, but they sent shivers down my spine all the same. "I'll take a combo 9, thanks." I confirmed the order and punched it in while trying to ignore the tingling feeling that had crept up my neck. The order was announced over the intercom, and my focus immediately went to the fryer. In spite of the unnerving setting, the repetitive sounds of the timer's steady beeping and the sizzling of oil provided some solace. The stranger's order sat unattended at the counter for several minutes. The booth where we had last seen them was deserted when I returned. My pulse quickened as a drop of sweat rolled down my temple. Were they already gone before I realized it? I shook my head, scolding my own overactive imagination. The restaurant was suddenly filled with the sound of a gentle creak. I whirled around to see the stranger, still hooded, standing at the opposite end of the dining room. Whence did their stealthy movement come? My heart was racing, and my hand went to the pepper spray on my belt. It was all I could do to rasp out, "Your order is ready," above a whisper. The stranger took a step forward, and for an instant the lightning flashed, illuminating their face. It was emaciated and ghostly white, with sunken eyes that bored deep into my soul. The kitchen door swung open, and the wind howled as though in protest. I took a few shaky steps back, my heart beating for an entirely new cause. I said, "I'm sorry, but we're closing," as my voice shook. "The time has come for you to leave." A scary smile formed on the stranger's lips, exposing a row of razor-sharp white teeth. "Oh, my dear, I have no plans to go. This is the moment I've been waiting for." I felt a wave of panic wash over me, and I ran for the back door. The rain outside had intensified into a deluge, and it had soaked me in a matter of minutes. I paused and looked back toward the restaurant's front door. The stranger had already left. Fear and confusion filled my head as I ran through the drenched streets. Once inside my apartment, I slammed the door and locked it. I sat down on the couch and gasped for air. What if I'd made up the whole thing? Like a nightmare seeping into reality, the image of those sunken eyes and unnerving smile would not leave my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom, and the days grew into sleepless nights as I attempted. My heart would race at the slightest sound or movement, and I was convinced that there was something in every shadow. I dared not peek outside for fear of meeting those ghostly white orbs peering back. A gentle tap broke the calm one night as the sun set, throwing long shadows across my apartment. With my breath caught in my throat and my hands shaking, I tentatively made my way to the door. Inhaling deeply, I pushed the door open. Rain dripped from the stranger's coat onto the welcome mat as they stood there. Their hollow stare sent a shiver down my spine. They said it in a low voice, "I told you I've been waiting." My mind was racing with panic and disorientation, and I staggered backward. "I'm curious. What do you want from me?" The unfamiliar person's grin grew, baring his or her sharp fangs once more. "That's a deal, sweetie, a straightforward trade. To be afraid of something priceless." To make sense of the situation, my thoughts were racing. What do I have that you might possibly want? The stranger's attention turned to a portrait of my late parents hanging on the wall. Oh, there are always precious recollections, feelings, and connections. I am able to alleviate all suffering and anxiety. In exchange, you will be liberated. Anger and desperation were both flowing through me at the same time. I refused to play your sick games. The stranger's cackling resounded in the room and chilled me to the bone. Wait and see, sweetheart. And so it goes. For weeks, I had to worry about staying one step ahead of the stranger's unrelenting pursuit. My sanity eroded away like sand through my fingers.
Story number 2, the pizzeria paradox.
I knew working in restaurants may be challenging at times, but I never imagined it would be this bad. My name is Sarah, and I just started working at Slice of Eternity, a high-end pizzeria that advertises gourmet delights for its wealthy customers. All those fancy finishing touches and artisanal toppings fooled me into thinking that the place was nice when it wasn't. The dreamlike quality of my first night on the job was palpable. The restaurant's polished oak tables were bathed in a warm glow from the chandeliers. Sophistication permeated the room like the scent of freshly baked pizza and the sound of wine glasses being clinked. As a server, I put on my uniform, which consisted of a white shirt and a black apron. The night got off to a good start. I waited on customers, brought them their food, and even got a few laughs out of them. Conversations and laughing could be heard from all around. But as the clock approached midnight, a disturbing change started to take place. One by one, the tables surrounding me cleared out, and the once lively eatery fell into an eerie silence. A feeling of foreboding settled over the room as the flickering lighting formed lengthy shadows on the walls. My stomach dropped when I checked the time and saw that I was the last server standing. A voice sounded from one of the corner tables just as I was about to walk to the back to tell my boss. "Sorry, miss, I'd like another glass of water, if possible." When I looked up, I saw an elderly man sitting by himself, staring at me with such ferocity that chills ran down my spine. I confirmed my understanding with a quiet nod, to which the response was, "Of course, sir." As I got closer to the table, I couldn't help but notice that the man's eyes glowed with a strange, old light. I poured his glass again, attempting to push aside my uneasy sensation. Inquiring, "Is there anything else I can get you, sir?" His grin was half-hearted. It didn't extend to his eyes. "Oh, honey, you can help me out with this. You see, I need your help with something." Curiosity getting the best of me, I leaned in close, asking, "What can I do for you?" His eyes were fixed on me the entire time he talked, and his words sent shivers down my spine. "Bring me the forbidden slice," I ordered. I looked at him blankly, surprised by his plea. "Excuse me, but the forbidden slice? I'm not sure if I understand you." The man's grin grew wider, and I thought I detected a hint of mirth in his expression. "Yes, but that's the whole point." "Sorry, sweetie, but it's not an option. Only a select handful have been privy to its existence." My heart was racing, and I hesitated to act. The situation as a whole felt incomplete, like a puzzle with pieces missing. I'll have to see if they can do it in the kitchen." My thoughts were racing, so I didn't wait for his reply before I dashed off to the kitchen. The cook, a stocky man who often seems angry, arched an eyebrow as I explained what was needed. "The prohibited hunk? We don't offer that type of food. We don't have it, therefore please inform the consumer." The man wasn't there when I got back to the table to give him the chef's response. The candlelight produced ghostly shadows on the empty chair where the glass of water had been left. I felt cold and a chill run down my spine. The rest of the night was a whirlwind of mysterious encounters and events. Customers spoke in low tones, replete with oblique allusions to the forbidden and hidden. The formerly cheerful mood had changed into a terrifying symphony of whispers and anxiety, and plates of food that had gone untouched had mysteriously vanished. At the stroke of midnight, the last of the diners left, leaving me to my own devices in the eerie stillness. My boss showed up, looking tired and bloodshot. "Sarah, you nailed it tonight. You did a great job of managing the chaos." My throat closed up and I nodded, expressing gratitude. "Thank you." He clapped me on the shoulder and walked off to his office, leaving me to ponder the unusual turn of events alone. A voice whispered in my ear, sending a thrill of panic through me just as I thought I was finally alone. The congratulatory message read, "Well done, Sarah. The forbidden slice has been served." My heart was pumping and I whirled around, but no one was there. The restaurant was deserted, the only light coming from the candles. The air felt chillier, and apprehension crept into my mind. With my head spinning from uncertainty and fear, I raced out of the restaurant. I took one last look at Slice of Eternity as I stepped out into the night air. Its refined exterior hid depths that were far darker than I had anticipated. I still can't shake the impression that I walked into a domain of secret information and old rituals that was beyond my comprehension. Some mysteries are better left unanswered, as evidenced by the fact that I still have nightmares about that strange night at the pricey pizza restaurant.
Story number 3, the midnight menu.
My part-time fast food work is a nightmare I never expected. Burger Bros. Fluorescent lights attracted hungry people all night. I didn't know it attracted something worse. Emily here. Before Burger Bros, I was struggling financially. Flipping burgers and taking orders at night wasn't horrible. I didn't know my first night was the start of a nightmare. I got dressed at noon, smelling like stale French fries and oil. My co-workers, mostly college students like me, greeted me with half-hearted smiles and left, leaving me alone in the office with the unnerving hum of the industrial-sized refrigerator. The evening began modestly. The cash register beeping and patties frying on the grill created routine. While I washed, the doorbell rang. When I looked up, a dark figure made my stomach drop. I said, "Welcome to Burger Bros," nervously. The visitor with a damaged cowl didn't respond. I swallowed hard and tried to ignore my stomach's discomfort. "Please place your order." The fluorescent lights nearly drowned out their whispers. I'm craving midnight food. I frowned at the menu. Midnight food was unavailable. I whispered my confusion to the stranger. "No midnight snack here. Reconsider your choice." As the stranger's head cocked, I shivered. "I demand the midnight meal," they added, becoming more insistent. I trembled as I nodded and entered an unrelated variety of things into the register. As the command came over the intercom, I turned to face the grill. The burgers sizzled, but something was wrong. I felt like I was in another world. I placed the improvised midnight meal on the counter a few minutes later with shaking hands. The stranger's gloved hand took the luggage with white, withered fingers. I stepped back with a pounding heart and a queasy stomach. I choked out, "Enjoy your meal," but I did. The stranger nodded and fled into the darkness with their hood up. I felt a shroud of dread as they left. The event felt like a terrible new realm. The hours heightened my uneasiness. The restaurant seemed alive, its walls changing and closing in on us. The flickering lights formed twisted, dancing shadows on the floor. The empty dining room echoed with every creak and whisper, like a haunted house. Just when I thought the night couldn't get stranger, the intercom rang. "Prepare the midnight meal," a snarl shivered me. The empty diner froze me as my heart raced. Who spoke? My room was empty. I stumbled to the kitchen counter and started making the midnight meal. It looked like an awful ceremony. I placed food on the counter and held my breath. The visitor returned after a long time when the doorbell rang. Their pale cheekbones and sunken eyes glowed with malevolence when their cowl was pulled up. "You've prepared the midnight meal," they joyfully sang. I nodded. "Yes, I did." The stranger's wide grin revealed needle-like fangs. "Good. Passed evaluation. Test. I'm confused." My mind raced, but the stranger had already taken the bag and left, leaving me horrified. The cafe was gradually illuminated by dawn. My co-workers slowly arrived for the morning shift, completely unaware of the crimes from the day before. I left the restaurant panicked and confused. Burger Bros was off limits after that night. The midnight meal and the creepy stranger haunted my nightmares, reminding me of my gloomy life. I still think about unintentionally touching something old and dreadful, something that waited in the shadows for innocent souls to stumble into its cruel game.
As we emerge from the depths of the unknown, remember, the darkness may retreat, but its stories will forever linger in your thoughts. If you've dared to venture with us on this journey of fear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay connected with more spine-chilling tales. Until our paths cross again, may you find solace in the light, but always keep a wary eye on the shadows. This is Dark Descent TV, bidding you good night, if you dare to sleep.